Hello. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening. How is everyone doing out there
How's everyone
today?
doing out there?
Happy Wednesday. Happy Immigration Q&A Wednesday. I am Radlin Mendoza, and this is my husband-in-law partner, John Gardner, and we come here pretty much almost every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to answer your immigration questions and give you live weekly updates. So here we are again on Wednesday, December 15th. I hope you guys have had a great week since we've been here last. I can't believe it's been just a week,
Time
right?
flies. It absolutely flies. And some of you are probably not joining us tonight because you're probably right in the thick of holiday activities and shopping and all that kind of good stuff. So we might not have as many folks hopping on, but that just means that if you have your questions tonight, there's a better chance that they'll get answered.
Yes. And if you have questions here, we've got people coming in from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you have questions, please write them in the comments and we will see them and put them up on the screen.
Yeah.
We also have some friends and followers on TikTok. Thank you guys for joining every week with us as well and asking all of your great questions. And remember, don't be shy about asking questions. You guys normally aren't, but for those of you who might be shy about asking a question, remember the question, and if we are able to answer it, also helps other people as well who may have the same question. So let's get our housekeeping stuff
I will
done.
be monitoring the TikTok folks here. So if you see me looking over here, that's just me looking at all their questions and monitoring what's coming in. Like Radlin said, we do this every Wednesday night from 8 to 9, answering your questions. But I do want to give you a warning that what we do here is for educational and informational purposes only. It is technically not legal advice.
Right? Not legal advice. That's right. If you want to rely on it, you got to call us and make an appointment. But it is definitely helpful. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from our followers. John's trying to adjust the light because of the.
There we go.
We have a really technical setup here, guys. You wouldn't believe it. All the wires and stuff like that. I'm constantly almost just moments before we do start this live stream. We're always moments of knocking stuff down and everything. I think the light's fine.
Yeah, I just the ring light was catching in your glasses.
Casting a blue light around the glasses. But so the first thing I want to, John and I have had some pretty good meals this week.
Yes, we have indeed.
And we want to give a shout out to some local restaurants. We picked up dinner on the way home from picking up one of our daughters from school today at Susan's Kitchenette. And Susan's is a Filipino restaurant off of Diamond Springs Road in Virginia Beach. And we got there like right around 4:30. So it was right before the dinner crowd. So everything was, their buffet. Well, it's not really a buffet. I mean, it's kind of a buffet, but they serve it into containers for you.
For those of you who've been to Filipino restaurants, you know what we're talking about. It's kind of
it's the tura. You just point.
You pick all this stuff.
Yeah. And we had a really fresh, yummy meal, and we know the folks at Susan's, and they always do a great job. So tonight I had mungo beans. John was extremely confused by that choice. He was like, "There's so much good stuff on here. Why would you choose that?"
Yeah, I mean that's like the stuff in the garden that got rejected.
No, these are prime things for the Filipinos out there. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was so good. It was so fresh and yummy. John had pork adobo. Boneless.
Yeah. While we're at it, she asked me if I wanted on the bone or off the bone, and I picked off the bone. And Radlin, I saw her out of the corner of my eye. I saw her roll her eyes and shake her head. She went like that.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That was probably rude.
Nah.
And then Ray had her favorite synagogue. So we had a great meal there. And then we also had a wonderful lunch at Baladi's, and is it Baladi's Mediterranean cuisine?
Yeah, he was saying Baladi, so I'm going to go with that for now on.
Baladi's, right?
I called it Baladi for my whole life.
But we've been going there for many years. That's in Virginia Beach at the Hilltop area, and it is wonderful as well. So check out those places if you guys are local. Support your local restaurants.
Yep,
and
both of them are fantastic.
Yep. All right.
If you like pineapple and Samata, you're going to be happy.
Pineapple. That was from Laguna Bakery in Virginia Beach. It was so good tonight. It was so fresh And it had pineapple in it. I've never had that before. All right. So do we have any questions? We don't have any questions here or comments
So
on
we have
Facebook.
some folks who have pre-registered. Some of our folks on TikTok register ahead of time. So we know that they're coming and we can keep an eye out for their questions.
Well, you know what I said? I gave them a little incentive for registering. I don't what is the, I guess, I think if you register for something, then you're going to really try to make it. So that's that was the goal of just having more people and so we can share this information. But yeah, the promise was, hey, if you register first, then we will get to your questions first. So let's see if anyone's on the
one
board.
of the folks who registered, Josie Lou.
Okay.
Is the
hello.
first one up
All
here.
right. Thank you.
Hello, Josie Lou. Thank you for joining us on TikTok. Her question is, my fiance lives in the U.S. and I live in Trinidad, and I have a visitor visa. How do we get married legally?
So is she here in the U.S.? That's the question. My follow-up question is, if you're here in the United States. So let's just say that is it Josie?
Josie Lou. Let's do both.
Let's do
one scenario
both. Yeah.
is that she's still in Trinidad and she hasn't left yet, and the other is that she's here in the U.S. right now.
Such a great question, such a common question. There's a question that we answer almost every week. Well, not every week, but
this is one of the most common, or some variation of it, that deals with fiance visas and getting married overseas, or coming here and getting married, or coming as a visitor and then getting married,
applying for a tourist visa and then getting married.
Right.
so let's just assume that you are here. If someone is here and on a tourist visa and they get married to a U.S. citizen, and did they say lives in the U.S. citizen?
Fiance lives in the U.S. Well, it says lives in the U.S.
Well, let's just assume
we're going to assume, citizen. Josie, that your fiance is a U.S. citizen.
Right. And Josie, you're here in the United States. You came in November. Yes, let's say you came for Thanksgiving or you came for the holidays, and it's already your fiance, so you're engaged to be married. One of the questions that I would ask is, if you came into the office, we say, hey, well, what did anyone ask you? Did they ask you when you're coming into the United States, what is the purpose of your trip? And if they did, what did you tell them? So that's one of the first questions I ask. And then the other question, and the other thing that's also important is, how long have you been in the United States, right? And if you just got to the United States yesterday and you're on immigration Q&A and you're like, hey, how do I,
sorry, I don't want to mess it up, but she just followed up. No, she is in Trinidad. So we'll just go with that scenario.
Okay. Let's go with that scenario. So that makes it a little bit more complicated in the sense that if a person comes in on a tourist visa, okay, and if their intent is to get married to a U.S. citizen, right? Even if you want to do that, and even if you're not planning on remaining in the United States and doing a process called adjustment of status and changing your status, if you are asked at the port of entry, what's the purpose of your trip? If you say, hey, I'm here to visit my fiance, or were you going to get married? Actually, yes, we are going to get married. Well, there's a pretty high probability that they're going to say, well, we're not going to allow you to come into the United States to get married, because then you're just going to do adjustment of status, which you can't have the intent to enter the United States on a B1, B2 tourist visa. And the intent is to get married and get your green card. So, but let's just say that, you want to just come in, get married, go back to Trinidad. Was it Trinidad?
Mm-hmm.
People do that. People do that because they can't stay in the United States and do the adjustment of status process, which takes a really long time. And it means that the B1, B2 applicant is kind of stuck in the United States until that they either get the permission to travel, the advanced parole, or get the green card, whichever comes first. So the question, it sounds like, was, how do we legally get married? again, it's tricky. I mean, it's a really, really tricky thing to kind of maneuver. Since you're not here, my concern for anyone coming into the United States on a tourist visa who is engaged to a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident for that matter, is that when asked, what is the purpose of your trip? And you say, oh, I'm just coming to visit my fiance, that they may not allow you in. Now, if you're a frequent traveler, you come in and out, you have an immigration history, you've got a job back home in Trinidad, it's not like you can just up and leave. Then it might be fine. It might be fine for you to say, hey, I'm just here for a short visit. I'm just here to visit my fiance. And so they may be fine with that. But if this is your first time, if it's your second time, if it's been a long time since you visited because of coronavirus, but there's just a lot of different factors that come into play here. So I think, not to cop out on your answer, but you have to be really, really careful here as to what the purpose of your trip is, what the plan is. Now, let's just say you have family members in New York and like, oh, I'm just going to see my family members. And they're like, okay, that's fine. And then you come in and then, you get married and then do adjustment of status. Can the purpose of your trip come up at your adjustment of status interview? Yeah, it can. What did you tell them? It can. So I'm always concerned that people in this situation, they're going to inadvertently make what we call a material misrepresentation, right? Like maybe, because a lot of people they already know that. They already know that if they tell the person at the airport, the officer, CBP, that they're coming to visit their fiance who's a U.S. citizen, they already know that they're not going to be allowed in. So they kind of tell I'm not going to call it a white lie. It's a misrepresentation. It's like, okay, I'm visiting some friends or family members, and like you don't even go to the city where those family members live. You go straight to your fiance. So yeah, I mean, we're very conservative. We've just seen, even seeing one person get returned back after a trip and get one person getting traumatized during secondary inspections is really enough.
You got to be careful because this is on their radar. I mean, they're fully aware that folks will come on a visitor visa, as you're talking about, tourist visa, with the intent of getting married when they get here. And then, as Radlin said, changing the facts, making up lies about why they're here and what their intent was, thinking, okay, well, if I can just get in, then I get married, then we can do the adjustment and all's good. And that's not necessarily going to be true. So you got to really be careful with this one. Okay.
Right. So going back to the question, how do you legally get married? It's fairly easy to get married in the United States, in all the different states. It's just a matter of...
Yeah, the marriage is getting married will be easy.
Right.
But if we're reading between the lines on the question, it's how do we get married without triggering 1,000 red flags with immigration, that really the reason you came was not to visit, but to get married
and perhaps apply
and then apply for adjustment of status.
And Josie's probably like, no, I just want to get married and go back home and, finish up my job and go through this process.
Josie, sorry if we're reading too much into this. We just have seen this fact pattern
play out many times. But I mean, call us if you need any additional, guidance on that. Like I said, you see, we're asking a lot of follow-up questions. It's extremely, extremely fact specific. I just met with someone last week. They're tiered there together. They have the applicant can't stay in the United States. They have to go back, but they do want to get married before the applicant leaves. So, that's fine. They've been here, so just be careful.
Yeah, just be careful. For anyone watching or watching this later, you can't enter the country on a tourist visa if your true intent is to just go visit your fiance and get married and then do your adjustment here. That's the thing.
Can't do that. Cannot do that.
Cannot do that.
Do so many people do that? Yes, so many people do that. And so some of you may be wondering, what are they talking about? People do that all the time. That is correct. People do that all the time. And a lot of people, it's fine, because when you come in sometimes they don't ask you what the purpose of your trip here is. It's for business, for pleasure. It's for, it's visiting friends, visiting family, and that's it. That's it. So just be careful. That's all. Great question.
Yes, thank you for the question.
Yes. She
Hopefully-
was number one.
Yeah, she registered and she was number one. And we've got some other folks that registered who are up here as well. Did you want to take a question from here in the meantime, or you want to grab a couple of these again?
Yeah, let me grab a question here on
Okay.
Facebook from
Hang
Linda.
in there, Jasmine. We're going to get to you next.
Yeah, we've got you,
right?
Jasmine. We've got you. Linda, she says, with the labor shortage, do you foresee any paths to sponsor people from other countries to help the restaurant industry? No, I don't. And don't mean to be like short and cynical about that, but they're just, we were talking to someone today about helping the restaurant in their restaurant, and it's just same old stuff that you have to do in order to get for a national employee here. The process is the same. I don't really foresee anything changing, unfortunately.
No.
Do you?
No, especially with the current labor market.
Right.
The unemployment rate is really low. What's interesting is it's kind of a weird number because the labor participation rate in the United States is one of the lowest it's ever been in history. So basically what that means is there are, at least in theory, gazillions of Americans that are out there who could fill all the jobs that are needed. And when that's the labor environment, this kind of change what you're talking about is not likely to happen.
Right.
If we have a labor shortage at some point, then we might be.
But that is a really, really good question.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for that.
Okay, Jasmine says, how long does it take to bring my husband? I have filed the I-130 last month, and I am a U.S. citizen. So she's a U.S. citizen. Filed for her husband, has filed the I-130 last month, wants to know something for a time estimate.
Gotcha.
Tough.
So it is tough to estimate the times right now. But I will say it really depends on, not really depends. One factor is where's your I-130 petition going to be processed? If you get a receipt back and you are, your service center is Nebraska, then it's one of the faster service centers. If you're in Texas or California, those take really long to process the I-140. But the I-140 can take anywhere from 8 months to a couple of years for USCIS to approve. I hope that does not happen with you, but it can take that long. Getting the I-130 approved is only the very first step in this process. Consular processing is next. You go through the National Visa Center. It's kind of like a clearinghouse to get all of your documents for visa preparation, and it stays at the National Visa after it's been approved by USCIS for like 12 weeks, depending. And then the questions right now, as far as time, like our clients right now are experiencing, hey, when is a visa interview going to be available? And those, as you guys know, it's no secret, those have been backlog. I've had clients waiting 2 years to get an interview due to the backlog caused by the coronavirus. So I would say a couple of years, conservatively. Is that the proper? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Couple years. Yeah.
Okay. And while you're fielding one of these, Coco Mamas Coco Mamas registered as well. Coco Mamas, if you could resubmit, you put some sentences in here, but I can't figure out what a question is here. So if you could resubmit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for those of you all on TikTok and also on the live stream here at Facebook, so we're trying to face two cameras here. It might be easier for you to type a long question in if you hop onto our Facebook page.
And how would they get there?
And that's at Gardner Mendoza Law. Just go to Facebook, type in the search browser you don't have to put the Gardner Mendoza Law. Yeah. And then it'll pop up and you can just put the question in the comments and it'll come up.
Yeah, because on the Facebook page you can put a big block of text.
Right.
and
There's a
in one big
character
chunk,
cutoff.
and we can put it in there. Okay.
Okay, so Kelvin has a good question here. Hi, Kelvin. How are you? My brother's a green card holder, and we want to bring my mom from El Salvador, but we don't know where to start. So the first thing.
What is that? Kelvin, is that Mount Vernon behind you? Cool. That's cool. I think that's Mount Vernon.
I have no idea. have we been to Mount Vernon?
We have not as a family to visit.
I may have gone there.
Yeah, I mean, we've all, been there when I was a kid, but not. I'm sorry, Kelvin. Let her answer
all
your
right,
question.
but so the first thing, Kelvin, is that your brother cannot petition for your mom unless he's a U.S. citizen first. So he has to, if he's eligible now, then he has to apply for U.S. citizenship. If he's had his, and I don't know how he got his green card. If you get your green card through, and you're married to a U.S. citizen for 3 years and living with that same U.S. citizen, you can file for citizenship at the 3-year mark. If you didn't get it through marriage or not married to a U.S. citizen and living with a U.S. citizen, then you have to wait 5 years, and you got your green card some other way. Then you have to wait 5 years to apply for U.S. citizenship. So Kelvin says, yes, it is DC. So basically first become a U.S. citizen if you want to bring your mom here permanently. If you guys are talking about applying for a tourist visa for your mom, then she has to do that. Well, you guys can help her with that. It's you got to complete the DS-160, pay the fee online to apply for the tourist visa. I haven't looked up tourist visa processing times in El Salvador. I know that in the Philippines, it's taking a year for an appointment, a year plus to get a tourist visa appointment. Again, because of the backlogs, these are not high priority cases. But if your brother is eligible to file for citizenship, then that is step one. And then once he becomes a U.S. citizen, then he can petition for your mom. Hopefully that's helpful. And if you need any help with that, of course, reach out to us. I do want to give our contact information for those of you who are watching and would like to schedule an appointment with us. You can reach us through our office, 757-464-9224. There should always be someone answering our phone. And if there's not, please let us know.
Yeah. Please
let us know. You can also reach out to us through our email. That's info@gmlaw.net, info@gmlaw.net. And phone number again, 757-464-9224. It's on the screen if y'all want to check it out. And for those on TikTok, of course, you can always just click on my bio and you can self-schedule there, and all of the contact information is there as well.
Yeah. Okay, Coco Mamas is put together. I think I know what's happening here. All right.
All right, let's go.
She lives in Texas, and then the next one was she lives in Albania in Europe, and I think it must be a sibling, and the sibling is unmarried, over the age of 21.
I've got this. I know this question.
She wants to know if she
I got it.
petition for her, or whether she should wait for her parents to petition for her. That's when you string it all together. That's the question.
Thank you for coming to the live. This was a question that she asked in one of the videos, and I said, hey, I'm going to discuss this on the live. So if you come to the live, or you can watch the recording of it, but I will answer your question on the live.
Okay.
So just to recap, because I'm sorry, I apologize, I kept interrupting you, but everyone here needed to know what the question was.
I loved your excitement. I was
so excited. I was so excited to see you. It was an invitation and it was accepted. You know, like when you invite someone to a party and they actually come.
Yeah, it's a good.
Everyone always comes to our parties, though. I mean, like this party is so much fun. Why wouldn't you want to come to this fun immigration Q&A party? All right.
Immigration Q&A.
Q&A party. All right. So the question here is, she is a U.S. citizen. She wants to petition for her parents. She also has a 26-year-old sister. Whole family is from Albania. Should she petition for her sister, or should her parents petition for her sister when the parents immigrate to the United States and become lawful permanent residents? So I actually started a video on this, and then it was too long, you know, and I only had a minute, and I just kept getting cut off, kept getting off. So I made it this morning, but to answer this question. So that's why I wanted to do the live. So in that video that I almost posted, which I didn't, I had the visa bulletin behind me. And as an example, okay.
Oh,
right.
Can you put a question up? Because she came over to Facebook. I just noticed that. You can post it.
Oh,
right
okay.
there, yeah.
Oh, this is Viola.
There we go.
Okay, fantastic. See, we're just so excited to see you. We're on TikTok.
Yeah, I wanted to post it. So those of you watching, you can see the facts here as well while Radlin's answering this.
Oh, look, and our moms are here. They're talking to each other in the comments. That's adorable.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Hi, moms.
Hi, moms.
How are you? See, when we first started this, it was just our moms watching. It's just the two moms.
Just the two
now you guys got questions, and it's so exciting. All right. So when your parents immigrate to the United States, Viola, your sister will be in the F2B category. Okay. And the F2B category is the unmarried son or daughter of a lawful permanent resident. And they're processing cases that were filed on or before September 22nd, 2015. So that means, like a 6.5 to 7 year wait. Okay. Now, if your parents didn't file for her or didn't immigrate for whatever reason, and you filed for your sister, the siblings of U.S. citizens on this December 2021 visa bulletin, the cutoff date is March 22nd, 2007. So that is, 15 years. So as you can see, it's much faster if your parents do it when they get here, even if it takes like a couple of years for your parents to immigrate to the United States, it's still faster. Now, what I was going to say is that in a perfect world, when your parents immigrate here, they file for your sister, but you can file for your sister now if you want. You can file the I-130 petition now for her. You don't have to if you want to just wait until your parents get here. But if you wanted to do that, then you could do that, because that will shave off 2 years, right? And my math is kind of crazy. I kind of do it. When I say shave off 2 years, what I mean is, like, you file the I-130 petition, let's just say today, and your parents are going to immigrate here in a couple of years. So your petition has already been in line for 2 years, right? And then when your parents come, your parents file that petition. And then if this remains around the same, the visa bulletin it comes out every month. It remains about the same. It's a 6.5 to 7 year wait for your sister to get here. Now, here's the thing. Your sis has to stay unmarried for that period of time. So, until your parents become U.S. citizens, but that doesn't help that much, because it's the married son or daughter of a U.S. citizen it's long. It's a longer wait than the unmarried son or daughter of a lawful permanent resident. Anyhow, I'm wondering if I explained that okay. Give me another comment, Viola, if you're completely confused and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But long story short, it's faster if your parents file for her, so long as she remains unmarried. If maybe your sister's affianced already, right? Maybe she's engaged to get married. If that's the case, then you should petition for her. If money were no object, I would do both.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great.
It's $535 to file an I-130 petition if you're filing on your own.
Great educational and information.
It is great education. I'm not applying that to these certain facts. Yeah. Just generally speaking.
So a couple of updates. GM Traveler sent us a rose, which was very nice.
Yay, that's money. That's money in the account. It's 0.001 cents. Yes.
All right. And Josie Lou checked back in to let us know that no, she's not intending to stay. She wants to just get married and then go back. Head back to Trinidad. That she's not ready to leave Trinidad permanently yet.
Gotcha.
So she just is going to get married and head home, which is fun.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to get married in the U.S.
Yep.
Here in Virginia Beach anyway. And I think all places, Vegas, so easy. That little chapel.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right. So Viola says thank you. So hopefully we answer that question.
I mean, the Virginia Beach courthouse even has like a little side office where you can get married.
And I think it's only $55.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So
let me jump in here real
Okay,
quick
go ahead,
because
jump in.
while you're digesting those questions, just because we've had a couple
So
of
I keep
folks,
kicking this table.
Every week we have a few people on TikTok that ask, what's going on with the immigration reform, and the answer this week is the same as last week: nothing. We're still waiting.
Nothing.
It's basically been baked in. Part of it has been baked into the Build Back Better legislation, which is stalled in the Senate. And as long as that's stalled in the Senate, then we don't have anything. If that somehow becomes unstalled in the Senate and goes forward, then the billion-dollar question is whether the immigration portion will stay in the legislation, because it's currently before the Senate parliamentarian who is reviewing it to see whether or not it can lawfully be a part of a reconciliation bill, which is what the Build Back Better is. It's spending legislation, and it was done that way so that it could get past the filibuster in the Senate, so that it could pass with just 50 votes and then have the vice president come break the tie. And so it could get through the Senate. That's why they had to do it that way. But on two prior occasions, the Senate parliamentarian ruled that the immigration portion was really more of a policy change than something dealing directly with spending. It might have some collateral effect on spending and the budget, but that's not what its primary purpose was. It was a policy matter. And so the third attempt now is a different variation. This is granting parole for 5 years. It can be renewed for another 5 years. This would be for anybody who can show that they were in the United States before January 1st, 2011. And so she is still reviewing that. And as soon as we hear something, I obviously will give you an update. We come here every Wednesday, as we told you, and I'll let you know if that gets through. And just to be clear, that's only one hurdle. If the Senate parliamentarian rules that this legislation can go forward, and if the immigration portion can stay in the reconciliation legislation, that's great. But then the legislation itself still has to pass the Senate, and it's just not. It doesn't have the votes right now, and so we'll keep you posted. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hope that answers everyone's question. Probably not happy with the answer, but it is what it is. Okay.
Happy with immigration legislation. All right. Good question here. Rose is planning to visit my boyfriend in the Philippines. Can I apply to petition him after I come back? So that depends on if you're a U.S. citizen and you want to do the fiance visa process, then yes, you can. If you are a lawful permanent resident and you leave the Philippines without getting married, no, you cannot. If you are a lawful permanent resident and you get married in the Philippines, yes, you can come back and petition for him. Hopefully that covers all bases. I think it did. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions about that. Thank you for that great question. And a lot of people, I mean, one of the most controversial TikToks that I've ever done, controversial based on the comments, like so many people calling me a liar and stuff in the comments, was when I said lawful permanent residents cannot file a fiance visa petition for their fiance. You have to be a U.S. citizen first. Like, people did not like that answer, but it's the absolute truth. So, Rose, if you are a U.S. citizen, then yes, you can do the fiance visa process. You may want to talk to us, reach out to us or another immigration attorney, that if you want one in your backyard, about just the pros and cons of doing fiance visa versus getting married and doing the immigrant visa, because there are some significant differences, and the timing is really sort of unknown for the fiance visa. Used to be really fast. I mean, the whole point of getting the fiance visa was so your fiance could be with you in the United States faster, rather than going through the whole immigrant visa process. But the timing is about the same. Maybe it's even perhaps longer. And so that's a consideration. Okay. Do you have a question over there? Thank you,
Uh,
Rose.
I do. So Swadtre232 wants to know. She says, "Hi, what happens when you miss a biometric appointment for citizenship?"
So, if you miss a biometrics appointment for citizenship, you should immediately write the office and let them know that you want to reschedule it, and maybe even put in a reason for why you missed it. You may have just missed it, right? And I would also follow up with the 1-800 number and let them know that you want to get that rescheduled. But I would definitely try to get that put on the books right away with regard to getting back in touch with USCIS to letting them know that you want that rescheduled. Now, they used to automatically reschedule, but I just wouldn't count on that. And they still may do that. We are always trying to, if our clients miss it, we're always just trying to get it back on the books calendar as soon as possible. So that's what I would do.
All right. Hope that's
Are we hitting all the registrants?
Yeah, there's
some of the registrants may have not come. So
I got one more here, and then you can turn back there. The question here is, I guess I don't need to read my dad's I-130 is approved. Can he travel with his son, who's under 21, as a derivative family member?
Dad's I-130 petition is approved. Can he
travel with his son?
Yeah.
Who's under 21 as a derivative family member?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just put the rule out. Okay. And I'm assuming that she has petitioned for her dad because, that's what I'm assuming. So when a U.S. citizen, we get this question all the time, and it's such a great question because it is confusing. When a U.S. citizen petitions for their parent, and that parent has a child under 21, maybe their sibling, maybe their step-sibling, whatever, that sibling cannot be a derivative beneficiary under dad's I-130 petition. I believe that is the question here. And the reason it's confusing is because other people can be derivative beneficiaries, namely, if you're a lawful permanent resident and you're filing for your spouse, then the under 21 children go under the spouse's petition. But the immediate relatives, an immediate relatives of a U.S. citizen, and that is defined as the parent, spouse, or unmarried son or daughter under 21 of a U.S. citizen. Okay, those three categories of people are considered to be immediate relatives, and they cannot have derivative beneficiaries under their I-130 petition. So, for example, another example of this is if you petition for your child who is unmarried, who's 19 years old, so under 21, but your 19-year-old has a daughter, that granddaughter of yours will not be able to go under your 19-year-old daughter's I-130 petition. What has to happen is when your daughter immigrates to the United States, as soon as she gets to the United States, she doesn't have to wait till she gets a green card. She doesn't have to wait any certain amount of time. She has to file that I-130 petition for her own daughter. Okay. Same thing here with the parent. The parent immigrates to the United States. As soon as the parent comes in, the parent should file the I-130 petition for the son who's under 21. All right. I'm not going to say any more about that because I could go on just talking, but we have other questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that, Felix. Did I answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
I love listening to you talk.
Look at you made me blush on the live stream. Let me have a sip of water. Oh.
Okay.
That's embarrassing. You want to? That's sweet. Actually, we're sharing a cup because we are married. We're at home.
Yeah. For those of you who missed the introduction, we are law partners, and we also have been married for 23 years. So,
yes. And have had our law firm for 21 years now. So, yes, it's good times. That's why we're drinking. cups. You know, just to be more professional, we should probably have 2 cups.
Yeah, next
I
time.
never have water. I'm never thirsty, but
Next
for some
time
reason I'm
we'll
just
have our own
parched.
separate cups.
Separate cups. All right.
All right.
That was a question there. Let's see. Let me grab Javier's question
Sure.
here. Javier says, a friend of mine. Oh no.
And look, he's at Universal Studios.
This is not good. I'm getting the low battery. This is very unprofessional. I'm getting the low battery notification. It is right there. Do you want to grab it?
Oops.
It's a tight spot. Okay. Javier says, a friend of mine wanted to hire me as aircraft mechanic and does not know where to start. I'm currently in the United States holding B1. He has a corporation and is a U.S. citizen. So, Javier, it really depends on, I mean, it's the quote unquote work visa is extremely difficult and time consuming. Sorry, guys, to get here in the U.S. There. And it does, there are different options though. There are different options, but the one that comes to mind for this is to go through the labor certification process. You would have to go back home while you're awaiting this process. And it can take over a year and a half to get this done, but it lead to lawful permanent residence. That's one way to do it. Aircraft mechanic. I don't know whether aircraft mechanic requires a bachelor's degree or equivalent to a bachelor's degree to see if you could apply for the H-1B visa. So I don't know. I don't know whether it does or not. I have to look that up. That's another option potentially, but only if the position requires a 4-year U.S. bachelor's degree equivalent. So if you want to reach out, you and your friend who you're going through this process, I'm happy to discuss with you the different options. But those are 2 that come to mind. And again, the H-1B option is something that may or may not apply to you based on whether or not your position requires a degree. And I'm not going to assume that it doesn't, but I just don't know. So reach out to us again. If you want to reach out, it's 757-464-9224 for a consultation. You can also email us at info@gmlaw.net.
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention too, I mean, we had one fellow check in, he had Mount Vernon behind him. I see this is Universal Studios in Orlando, I'm guessing. And that the reason I mentioned that is because I want everyone to understand that it doesn't matter where you are. We are a virtual office. We work remotely through Zoom and phone calls and DocuSign. So we have clients all over the country, all over the world. You do not have to be physically located in Virginia Beach or Virginia to deal with us. You don't even have to be anywhere close to us. You can be anywhere in the world, and we can absolutely help you just as well as we can if you're right here. If you do have some interest in visiting us, our office is physically located in Virginia Beach, but we do work entirely virtually right now. And so it doesn't matter where you are. Okay.
Good point. Absolutely. We have been doing virtual appointments way before the global pandemic.
That's right.
And that's because we are an immigration law firm and have clients all over the world and of course in all 50 states. So
yeah, the pandemic really didn't change us the way we did business at all. It was how we were already doing business. So,
well, not all 50 states. I mean, we don't have any clients from Montana, for example. Potentially, which is potentially all 50 states. Right. Many of them, especially on the West Coast as well.
Yeah.
All right. So, what other questions do we have? Did we hit all of our 10 registrants?
No, some of them haven't checked in at all.
Okay. All right.
But Briang17 wants to know, and came up pretty early. I'm on a visa and getting married to a U.S. citizen.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Can I leave the country while waiting on my status change?
If you are applying for adjustment of status, then of course you have also applied for advanced parole and your work authorization document, your EAD application. but you can't leave until you actually get your advance parole in the mail. And that's taken a long time. So for those who are applying for adjustment of status, that the EAD advanced parole combination card can take, up to 6 months to get to you. So I definitely don't advise our clients to leave the country. Now, if you have an emergency, then you would have to go and, call the 1-800 number, talk about the emergency, try to get an InfoPass appointment to get an emergency advance of a parole appointment at your local immigration office. Ours happens to be Norfolk. It's right in our backyard. So, but no, you can't travel unless you have an emergency. And even then you kind of have to jump through some hoops to do that. But great question.
And Javier hopped back on here to tell us, thank you. He said, I have a federal aircraft mechanic license. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that is.
Very impressive. Okay, so.
I don't have any more questions here.
Okay, Limerick 98 wants to know, is it possible to petition a mom of a U.S. citizen who is here in the U.S. on a tourist visa?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Yep.
All right. Yes is the answer.
Yes is the answer. Shall I elaborate? She's just like, no, don't elaborate.
No, I mean,
we have so many other questions to get to.
No,
the answer is
yeah,
no.
don't
you know what?
I'm
not going to say yes. I'm going to say probably.
Probably.
Just to give
I
a
knew
more,
that's where you were going with
more lawyerly answer.
Mhm.
Maybe. Generally speaking, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are all the different answers I have. But it depends, right?
It depends.
These are so generally speaking, okay. If a parent is here in the United States on a tourist visa and their U.S. citizen child is here as well, that U.S. citizen child can petition for them and go through the adjustment of status process, generally speaking. Yes. Right. Now, timing is important here. Like if mom just got here, I wouldn't be filing that thing tomorrow or anything. But yeah, if it's a process. And again, as the last person asked this question, mom is a little bit stuck here until she gets that advanced parole to travel back. And that is sometimes important to people.
Yes. Okay, and then you have a question just popped up there, and then we also have a question over here. Maybe's me came on pretty early to ask if you could talk about, and this is a general question, talk about the public charge rule. Maybe you could just tell everyone what that's all about real quick.
So the public charge rule, it got expanded there for a while during the Trump administration. We filed a lot of those applications, but that additional form is no longer required. When you are filing a petition for a family member, then you have to show, when you're petitioning for a family member, one of the requirements is that you file the Affidavit of Support, the I-864 form, the I-864 form, Affidavit of Support. And that family member, the applicant, the beneficiary, that person has to show that they're not going to become a public charge of the United States. Now, here you are, you're immigrating to the United States, or you're getting a green card in the United States if you're doing adjustment of status. You may or may not have a job. You may or may not have job opportunity. So your family member, the petitioner, has to submit an affidavit of support. The affidavit of support, you have to include your most recent income tax return, W-2 and pay stub. And if you don't meet the threshold income level requirements, that can be found on the 864P. So if you want to take a look at what those guidelines are, the poverty guidelines, just Google 864P, I-864P. Then you can get a joint sponsor. So if the petition, this is a really good question, if the petitioner does not meet those poverty guideline requirements, then you are able to get a joint sponsor. You can even have a household member add their income to your income, to stack your incomes if you're living with that household member. And if you do get a joint sponsor, then that joint sponsor has to be a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. I hope that provides some information.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
the public charge rule, and we talked about the public charge rule a lot because, wow, it was quite the form. And
Yeah, it was.
all of the, I mean, we would be submitting the documentation for this, and it was a couple hundred pages, right? And I mean, so that's no longer an issue. We don't, the public charge rule is no more. It's just the going back to the affidavit of support, the 864, and it's the requirements with regard to documentation are not as much as it was, but that was for a very short period of time. But great question, great throwback question.
Yeah. And Jasmine, who had checked in earlier to ask how long it would take to bring her husband to file the I-130 last month, and she's a U.S. citizen. You already answered the question, but she checked back in to say that husband is in Jordan. And so she just, I don't know if that was to ask for more information or whether she just was letting us know that. But while I'm on that, I thought maybe you could address that. Is that going to affect the timing at all? That it's a country in the Middle East that sometimes there are longer delays there.
Well, I mean, there are just delays across the board, and one, not necessarily because it's in the Middle East, but the countries where there are, I guess I would say, the most people applying for visa applications. The Philippines, Ciudad Juarez, India, China, they're all broken out on the visa bulletin here. So there's all countries, and then the longest ones are broken out: China, India, Mexico, and the Philippines on the visa bulletin. So those are the countries that historically have the most people immigrating from those countries, and therefore it's going to take longer. Like, for example, I had two clients. We had two clients at the beginning of COVID, and the client who had an interview in Bahrain got here 8 months faster than the one that had, or maybe it was longer, maybe it was 10 months, than the one that had the fiance visa interview in the Philippines. So fewer applicants coming out of Bahrain.
Yeah. Okay, Jasmine. So shouldn't, Jordan is not a particularly long wait. So comparatively,
right,
to some other
right,
places. I don't
right,
want to say
exactly.
it's not a long wait
It
compared
is,
to some other places.
everything is a long wait right now.
Yes, absolutely.
If we're comparing to pre-COVID processing times.
All right. You got a question there? You want?
I do. It's Rose. It's Rose again. She says she's a U.S. citizen, lost her certificate of naturalization. When she moved, do I need to apply for a replacement before I petition? Do I need to provide it? So any proof of your U.S. citizenship, so your U.S. passport, should be just fine when you file that petition. So I wouldn't wait to file until you get your certificate of naturalization. That could take forever.
All right. And looks like Daniel's checking in just to say hi and thank
All
us.
right, Daniel, how's it going? Hanging in there?
Awesome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for saying hi. Hope
Yeah,
everything's going well with
absolutely.
you. Okay, here. One Hut had a question that
Okay.
I don't know that we'll know the answer to this.
You probably don't.
He's a U.S. citizen. He wants to retire in the Philippines because the money will go farther, he thinks, and he wants to know what does it take to do that? I don't know.
To retire in the Philippines.
Yeah, so he's a U.S. citizen, I guess, who's decided, look, I'm going to go to the Philippines to retire because I can probably get more value for my dollar than here.
That would be true.
Stretch it. That's true for sure.
That would be 100% true. I don't know what the process is.
I don't either.
I do know that if you overstay in the Philippines, you have to pay penalties, monetary penalties. So I don't even know what that time frame is, but I know that my mom is a U.S. citizen. She's also a Philippine citizen, but I always tell her, like, once she lost her U.S. passport, we would just come back in using your Philippine passport, or I don't remember what it was, but she said, no, I'll get fined because I've overstayed if I I don't even know what it was. But yes, you can get fines and penalties, but unfortunately, I do not know how to actually do it and retire there.
Yeah, we'll start to look into it. In case we go down the same road at some point.
It's too far. we have John and I have 3 daughters, 18, 16, and 10.
Right.
And
So we're not leaving anytime
we're not
soon.
leaving anytime soon. But we have, before we had kids, or when they were toddlers, we thought, like, this would be a great place to retire, but it would be too far from them.
Yeah. And let's see, we got another rose from
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you so much. And I see Rose checked in to let us know that she has a U.S. passport.
So yes,
that's going to work great. Fantastic.
Yes, just copy that.
All right, see here.
Now, someone was asking about adjustment of status, or they're getting ready to file for adjustment of status. I did want to mention an update from USCIS. When you did your medical for an adjustment of status, you had to have that medical done within 60 days of filing for your application for the green card, your I-45 application. Because of COVID, they no longer have that requirement. So you don't have to. Timing was, and that's, we always waited and for our clients to bring that medical to the interview because of timing. So what would happen sometimes is, if our clients got that, we would always tell our clients not to get the medical first, because it would sometimes take them some time to get documents to us, get the medical last. And now we don't have to worry about that timing, because there is not that 60 day period where you have to file it after getting it.
And I was just chuckling. One hud as an immigration lawyer.
Awesome.
The person inquiring on retiring in the Philippines.
Fantastic. Well, listen, when you find out,
when you find out one hut, get it. Let us know. Okay.
Let us know. Cause I really wish, and for you guys out there, if you have a good immigration attorney who does Philippine immigration, also shoot us a direct message. We'd love to know, because we do get the question a lot. And then of course, sometimes our clients, when they go to the Philippines and they want to get married, and the process and the steps. And I tried to pick someone's brain. I actually had a consultation with this person. They were trying to immigrate here. And then I found out they worked in, the civil registry of people getting married. I was like, can you tell me what the process is? Is there someone out there? I'm like, no, you have to just come to the civil registry office. So I didn't get too much information out of her, but anyhow.
Okay,
any other questions? We are at the 9
down,
p.m. hour.
We've got a couple more questions. We can squeeze them in here.
Because our alarm clock is.
Keeper didn't come.
She didn't.
Real quick, Butterfly Kisses says, hi, I just filed my naturalization application.
Yay, congratulations.
Congratulations. She says, was it okay that I did not include my maiden name?
So when it's okay that you did not include it. However, when you get to your interview, I want you to make sure you let the immigration officer know that you forgot to put your maiden name. So it's okay that you filed it and it's out there, and I don't want you to worry about it for the next 9 months. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot to include my maiden name. I forgot to include my maiden name.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Oh gosh, if I just put my maiden name.
It's not a big deal. You're going to be asked all the questions on the N400. Have you used any other names? And then that's when you can say, yes, my maiden name. And you can tell the officer that you've used your maiden name. So just know this, guys, when you file your application, when you file your N400 application, okay, and again, a lot of people say, gosh, I forgot to put the apartment number. I forgot these address. And they're just worrying about it for 10, 11 months or however long it takes to get that done in your jurisdiction. You can always, your application is open through the time of the interview until the end of your interview. So you can add things to the application at the time of your interview. Okay.
Right. You can sit down and right out of the gate be like, oh, you know what? One thing I wanted to let you know is that I actually put the wrong street address when I filled that out. I want to make that correction right now.
Right. Absolutely. And I've actually had 1 hour long consultations about this because people are very concerned. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to be, I've got my interview coming up and I forgot to put this XYZ information. Yeah, just add it at the interview. One quick just cautionary note is that if you have any type of arrest, criminal record history, citation, anything that involves law enforcement, you've got to put that down on your application. And there are some of our officers at the local office here in Norfolk, they don't care about traffic tickets. But as an immigration lawyer, I know that you got to put traffic tickets on. So you got to put them down there. You don't have to provide the ticket information as far as like you paid the fine and all that stuff, but you have to list it. And anything that deals with law enforcement.
The ticket's not a problem. It's saying you didn't have a ticket, and then they already know that you did, and then you're lying to them
Then
about
it's
it.
a good moral character issue.
Then it is a problem.
Oh,
It's
our time.
past the time.
it's past the time. It's past the time. Guys,
This
thank
is
you.
our timekeeper.
This is
Our
our
10-year-old.
10-year-old daughter, Ray. Ray, how are you doing tonight?
I'm
Here, let's-
doing good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for this. This thing is crazy. Thank you for coming
All right.
too.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us.
So our contact information again, guys, it's on the screen. It's 757-464-9224 if you want to get in touch with us, or info@gmlaw.net. I'm Radla Mendoza. This is John Gardner, my husband and law partner, and we really enjoyed hanging out with y'all tonight.
We will see
Thank you
next
so much.
Wednesday,
Thank you
8
for the
o'clock.
wonderful questions. All right.
Y'all
Take
have
care.
a great night. All right.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. That's how we always end it.
Two
Have a great
thumbs up.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.